All right, so Snow is still on her Caribbean adventure. Um, I think she wants to leave the country. Who blames her? So we got Sid filling in for a couple episodes here until we get Snow back eventually, I think, at some point.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'll have to figure out what to do with this
Little
podcast.
fill in.
Yeah. I can't do this stuff by myself. I don't know how the people who just do the podcast by themselves can sit there and talk for 45 minutes. I just can't do it.
I'm trying to learn it. Like, I have a couple of drafts in my stuff that I haven't posted, but it's just weird just hearing my voice all the time. And I keep encouraging my friends to come on.
Right, because you need someone to feed back off of, or else you just feel like you're just crazy and you're just talking to yourself.
Yeah, it's strange. I don't like it.
What's your podcast going to be called?
It's called Spiritual Healing Shit, basically. So,
Okay.
we talked, the last time I talked about, I haven't posted yet, but about the devil and how he's, the scapegoat of Christianity and that, you can't heal unless you have accountability, stuff like that. And I'm sure that's going to go over real well.
Well, yeah, especially I mean, that was because of something that you had posted, right? Or you had replied to something.
Mm-hmm. I replied to something about it.
Yeah, and the whole, you should forgive, but why doesn't anybody forgive the devil?
Why doesn't anybody forgive the devil? And that's the truth. That was my biggest thing, and I know I'm going to get hell for it. I just know it.
Well, I mean, because you're a very faith-based person.
Yeah. I've been very faith-based.
But nobody really looks at that option, right?
They don't, because the religion uses it as a way to manipulate people. So they'll say, oh, the devil's horrible, scary, does all these bad things to you. Oh, gay people are from hell. They're the devil. That's just fear. That's all they use it for.
Right. Meanwhile, you could be the most evil person ever, and according to the religion, you can go in and say, "Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned," and be absolved of whatever you have done.
Yeah.
As long as you put your name into God.
Yeah, as long as you believe in God. And I just don't even think that God is a he or a she. I think that it's just a powerful entity. That I'm sure there's other little powerful entities underneath because of the spiritual world, but I don't believe that. I don't think the devil is evil inherently.
Right. And we all sin.
Yeah.
To tell you the truth.
Yeah. Yeah. Even MAGA people, MAGA, whatever you call them.
Yeah, MAGA people.
MAGA Christians.
Yeah, we're trying not to. Yeah, I've been trying to avoid that topic lately.
Well, they're human too.
It's not done me any good.
They're human too. They may not believe that, but they are human too.
Yeah, I wonder where, just threatening you would fall into that. Seems like it'd be very unchristian-like.
Yeah, threatening somebody's life is simple. Very simple, but hey, who am I to judge?
Yeah, so, September is a suicide prevention month, or suicide awareness month, I should say. And the hotline number is 988, if you're in crisis. And so I thought we'd do an episode on mental health. And, one thing that I find I struggle this time of year with my own mental health. I think it's the seasonal change and stuff like that. Even though I love fall.
Yeah.
I love this time of year. The weather's nice. I've always have loved it. Football season is back. But especially over the last 7 or 8 years, I find myself really struggling this time of year with it. And you can't quite put your finger on it. And I realize I've had certain events happen around this time of year that probably make me feel that way.
Well, I don't know if you've ever seen the video, but I can't think of his name. Jim Carrey said that, seasonal depression is more of, it's not that you're sad, it's that your body's telling you to stop and take a deep rest. So, it's, say, how I was telling you that some things happen at certain times in life or certain seasons of our life, and when we come back to that time of season, fall, summer, whatever it is, and your brain automatically starts thinking that, it's telling you to take a break, to focus on yourself. And when you said deep rest, it made me really think that you probably aren't really sad. You just need to take some time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, take time, reset, focus. I mean,
And men don't do that. Men don't do it enough. Women do. Men don't.
Well, I mean, that's hard though. You know, when you work the hours I work, and then you're a dad on the weekend, and balancing everything else that comes with that. It is hard. Especially because I have a very public job where I'm on the phone talking to people.
You're with people all day long.
Constantly, you know, bam, 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 and it's hard to reset. You know, during the day, especially if somebody gets mad at you during the day.
Yeah, I get it.
You know, and then you're just like, you know, you're on the verge of a mental breakdown, and someone's yelling at you about something that's irrelevant. You know, it's just like, why are you yelling at me, man?
Right.
You don't know what I'm going through. I try to be really conscious about that when I'm talking to people, even when I'm out and about and frustrated with service somewhere and stuff like that. I try to be like, okay, I don't know what this person, I'm not going to lay into them. It's not their fault that this is going on.
Yeah. And I think like, when we talk about suicide, I have the stats of suicide rates. So the rate of suicide is always highest in middle-aged white men. Men usually die by suicide 3.90 times more than women. So that's pretty high. White male accounted for, not to say that black men don't do it, but I feel like, okay, so when depression comes on, they talk about how the black men and like Native American men and Latino men, they've had generations of oppression and trauma, and they've kind of grown this callous to where it doesn't affect them as like they can cope with it better. So depression is a big thing in white men, and they talk about how women, whereas there are women who do commit suicide, and we don't want to take away from that, men typically commit suicide because they can't find women are they're birth bearers, they have babies, they do these things, and men don't, like they don't, you know, they feel like they're there for their family, but then the world makes them feel like they're less than because they're not able to express their emotions. Where women, it's more like women cry, it's a thing, you know, but men aren't allowed to. So men aren't allowed to do that. So their only way out sometimes is to be like, screw it, you know, and they're done, you know.
Yeah.
But and it is harder on men, on white men, and I don't want to preface that black men and Latino men and Native American men, Asian men, whatever, don't matter. It's just more prevalent. Like it's more prevalent, and it's really, 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 really sad that we live in a society that even today, just men in general are not allowed to talk about what they're struggling with because they got to be strong, you know.
Well, I get that,
Back
you know.
bearers.
You know, I'm a man, you know, so I do, but I'm also in touch with, you know, that side, and you know, and luckily I have friends like Snow that when I am like that, I can
encourage you to talk about it.
I can talk to them about it. You know, I've never gotten to the point where, hey, I'm gonna, you know, do this to myself, but no, I don't know, those thoughts do come up.
Yeah, it does. And I think that's natural for anybody. Like, I've had thoughts about it as a woman, like, the world would probably be better without me. I mean, it's not reality, but I don't act on them. Men are more likely to act on it than a woman is.
Well, I think having kids help in my situation, being just like, well, what would happen to my kids if I wasn't, I wasn't here. Right. You know, and I think that is more of a reality check. More than anything, like, oh God, as much as I want to, you know,
well, they did say that single fathers are less likely to commit suicide. Less likely. Single fathers, because they have a burden to take care of children. And that's what, as a woman, that's what goes through my head, like, who's going to take care of my kids?
Yeah.
Like, who's going to raise them?
Yeah. I'll share a story that I don't think I've ever, because it is, Suicide Awareness Month.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've ever shared this story on the podcast, and it is kind of a dark story. Years ago, I used to live in New Hampshire and had roommates and stuff like that. And I had a roommate who was also a coworker, and he ended up moving out because he had lost another job. He couldn't afford rent, and he had just left, one day in the middle of the month. And he had already arranged for another friend to be like, hey, I'm not ditching you. I already found someone else who was another friend, so he wasn't screwing me over totally. And he moved back in with his mom. And the new roommate had a couple of younger kids. And the guy that had moved out had left guns behind. And I didn't have a gun safe or anything like that. I hadn't talked to him in a couple months, and I ran into him at a party at a mutual friend's house, and talked to him. There was no hard feelings. I'm like, hey, you could have just told me what was going on. You were struggling to make rent. Hey, I would have covered you. You didn't have to move in with your mom. You could have been honest with me. But hey, there's no hard feelings. But you left these guns behind, and we don't have a gun safe. I don't feel comfortable having these guns out in the open with kids in the house. And so there was one morning that he had shown up, and I had, I was tired Sunday morning, 7 a.m. Somebody's knocking on your door. You get up and, hey, it's him. Hey, I came to get those guns. Well, okay. It was a little strange, but okay. So I gave it to him, and we hugged, and I said, hey, that no hard feelings. We're still brothers, man. Because we were as close as brothers. What I hadn't known was the night before he had an argument with his wife, and she had told him, they had been separated, but she told him there's no way they're getting back together, and all this other stuff. And he had been out drinking all night, and I didn't pick up on that. So as he was driving back to his mom's house, maybe 5-10 miles away, he ran into a tree, and he broke both of his ankles. So I'm assuming he felt real desperation at this point. Fuck, lost my job, just wrecked my truck, both ankles are broken. Lost my wife. So he got out, and the police showed up. He pulled out one of the guns that I had just handed him 50 minutes before. And instead of, I think he tried to do suicide by cop.
Yeah.
But the police were trying to talk him down. And he shot himself.
Yeah. That's sad. That's tragic.
And that's really difficult. As the last person that talked to him and the one that handed him the gun, that really fucks you up.
Yeah.
Even though in reality it's not your fault.
Yeah.
It's not your fault.
Yeah.
And I remember, going because his mom asked me to be a pallbearer, and his mom is the only one I shared the conversation with. It was no one else. Everybody else at the funeral was asking me, like, no, it's none of your business. What happened? His mom, I was the one that told, yeah, this is what went down. And that's not the only friend I've lost to suicide over the years. I've lost family members, my own grandfather, So, suicide awareness is something, a deeply personal subject with me. And I don't think anybody, wants to. Have you lost friends to suicide?
I have. Recently, we're not blood related sisters, but we're that close. We're like sisters. Her husband, it's been about a month now, he killed himself. And we don't know why. We don't know the outlining reasons, but he did, and it really was an eye-opener for me how numb we are as a society, because He was in his front yard for hours before, like all night, up until 10 o'clock in the morning until she came home and found him. Like nobody, people drive up and down the road. Neighbors are all close. Nobody thought anything to go check on somebody laying there. Like, yeah. So that was a big shocker. And then watching her mourn him and stuff is really hard. But, yeah, he committed suicide. He's the only friend I've had commit suicide. I've known of people in my life that I never really was close to that have committed suicide. And it just, you have to be really low at a point in your life. Like, that person must have been really sad. You know, like, they couldn't find any kind of light. You know, like, no dim of light in their darkness. Or, you know, some people just can't find that. It just overwhelms them, you know. And I really don't like it when people go, oh, well, they're cowards. They really aren't cowards. They're just
in so much pain.
They're tired, you know. And it's cowardly to say somebody is a coward after they kill themselves. Because, yeah, sure, it puts people through pain that they love and stuff, but those people were hurting and nobody was there to help fix that, you know what I mean? Or, well, you know, usually when somebody does do that, they don't reach out anyways. You have to really, like, be like, are you okay? You know? And it's hard to catch that because sometimes they're smiling right in your face.
Yeah.
And you have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, look at people like Robin Williams, you know.
Happy up to the moment he finally, you know, and it just, you never know.
Chester Bennington, he was out in Sedona the morning of when he did it, and he just drove home, and, you know, his wife said he was, you know, seemed like all fine, and he got home and did what he did.
Won. Yeah.
Yeah, and then, I mean, that goes to show that, you know, no matter how much money and fame and what great life you seem to have, it doesn't really matter.
No, it doesn't. And some people, they lack some of the, like, the basic necessities, not just like food and stuff, just they say that one of the biggest necessities is community and being connected to people. That's what keeps others from having, you know, kill themselves from suicide or anything that's harmful to them, is they have to have connection with people, and sometimes they just don't have that. Like, even like you said, rich and famous, they just may have all these fans, but they don't have any real connection.
Yeah. I don't know what keeps me going. It's like the little things, like, oh man, I'm like, well, no, I couldn't do anything because I'd miss the next season of Loki or something like that. You know, you just find the little things just to keep you going, even though it is kind of dark and stuff like that. But I think when you reach that level of darkness, as long as you know, just try to think it through, and you get through to the next day, and you're like, okay, well, you know, this feels a little bit better today, and you just keep on building on that. I mean, even you know, my kids have told me thoughts of that, and thank God that they do. Thank God that they can come to me and say something like that. But it just scares the shit out of you.
Yeah, I had my son do that with me last year, and I was just like, what the heck? Where did this come from? You know. Yeah. But it was over kids bullying him, which is another situation.
Yeah. And those are the saddest ones when you hear those stories about kids that get bullied. And I think as a society, especially over the last 8-10 years or so like that, we have done horrible at teaching kids how to treat other people. Right. Because we're just so mean to each other on the internet all the time. And kids see that. They see how it goes, oh, well, hey, this is, you know, but they're not aware of, oh, yeah, I'm just talking shit on the internet. Right. The kids see that, and that's what they grow up with. And the kids are on their devices all day long, you know, and I don't think they have as much social interaction. Whereas there's shit that you say on the internet that you wouldn't dare say to somebody's face. Well, you wouldn't. You know, the shit, the hate that I get, nobody would actually say that to me. Right. You know, out there. You know, and Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that's something that we have to get back to, is teaching kids values and stuff like that.
Yeah, because they're not nice to each other.
Yeah, I mean, there's always bullies, and there always will be.
Right.
You know, and a lot of those bullies, it comes from, you have to look at the situation.
They have
had
mental health
growing-
issues, at home. Yeah, because they got crap going on at home, and it's just, I don't know. Like the kid that's bullying my son, he has a lot of stuff going on, and he's sad. And I try to, even though there's no excuse for the kid bullying him, because it's been all the way since last year, my son is empathetic and understanding that he has stuff going on. You know, and I'm trying to teach him not to take it personal. You know, that kid's got a hard life.
Yeah, well...
Just keep being nice to him.
I think it also doesn't help with the mental health situation that we have, probably not only here, but around the country.
Yeah.
I think mental health care is subpar on it. It seems to be like, well, let's push these medications on people. And I know this, you know, from personal experience. When I say, hey, these medications aren't working, you know, but they keep on doing it despite my protests on it. And I think I think depression is normal. You know, I think thoughts of wanting to just not be here anymore, I think that's kind of normal, but you have to work it out. You have to talk to people, you have to work it out.
Right.
And stuff like that. But I think that these are all natural thoughts, and I don't know if medication is necessarily always the answer.
It's not. It's not, and I'll tell you that from experience with my stepson, who we no longer have, and we've talked about on a past podcast. But he, for example, when we got him out of the system, he was on dextroamphetamine, and the sad thing about this is any good psychologist or doctor would know not to prescribe a child who has a parent who was addicted to methamphetamines. Like you can't, it's addiction is genetic. The chemical reactions, it comes down the line, it's been proven. They were treating his ADHD, or they were saying they were treating his ADHD. Come to find out, when we got a second opinion, it wasn't his ADHD it wasn't even that bad. It was his moods that needed to be monitored. And he went on less medication, less harsh medication, and got better. But medication also does not treat the entire symptoms. It's there to subside things like mood and stuff. That's the chemical imbalances. And the real issue at hand is that they want to treat very little and bill the maximum. And I know that for a fact because of a mental health facility I worked for. That was the goal. Treat less, bill maximum.
Right. I
literally was told that.
I had gone into therapy for a few years ago for certain situations that you know of. We won't speak about here. But I was speaking to my therapist. I was like, and I realized I watched The Sopranos. I know what this is about. You know, you just got to be open and honest about what your problems are. You don't try to hide it. You don't try to be macho about it. Be just, you know, just honest. Open yourself up. And I did say, look, I don't really want meds. I don't think it's for me. I think I'm feeling everything I should be feeling, you know, and I laid everything out. Yeah, I do this. I think it's because of this, and my parents this, and this, and this, and this. And after 3 sessions, it was like, well, you seem like you have a really good grip on your problems. I think we're done here. I'm like, no, we're not.
No, counselors,
I still have to deal with this.
They're supposed to help outline, like, and give you ways that you can learn how to cope with the stuff, you know, the stuff that you can have some self-awareness and not know how to deal with it. You know what I mean? And the fact that, and I know we're talking about the same facility, that they don't take the time with people is the reason why people are so in and out of the system. People are so lost. People, you know, can't figure out life. They can't, like, I can't tell you the amount of people I had in my office tell me what was going on, and then I would say, hey, has anybody ever educated you on your diagnosis? And I would start by educating them on their diagnosis, what they have, why their brain works the way they do, and then you can go on with coping, right? So the fact that they don't even start that off with, hey, let me talk to you about your diagnosis and educate you, they don't promote that because it's their self-awareness. You're promoting self-awareness. The more people are ignorant, the more they're going to continue to buy into therapy and medication.
And then you wonder why we have situations like the homeless crisis that we have, and the drug use that we have that's prevalent. I'm not going to rag on this particular town because this is nationwide. This is an issue nationwide.
Right.
That, but this is, a crisis. It really is. And then we treat like the homeless people like they're beneath us.
Yeah.
Or somebody that's, talking crazy out on the corner, like, oh, well, they're just crazy.
That's literally untreated mental health. That's all that is.
And I guess one more aspect to this one before we wrap this episode up is we all know, like, with inflation, things are hard. And I think that also really contributes to what's going on.
Oh, it does.
Because it puts a lot of stress on everybody.
It does. I was notified by DES here in Arizona that Ducey had put in something in place that it's a new program that if there's whether single or two parents have to be working if they're considered able to work. So when I asked the DES lady, well, I have MS, and that's the reason why I'm out of work currently, because I got really sick, and I wasn't able to work. And, your boss needs to rely on you, and I get it. And she goes, well, regardless if you have MS, because you have flares, you have to be able to work. And if you can't work, we'll give you 3 months of food stamps and then 3 years without any. 3 months of food stamps, they still haven't even upped the poverty level to even give you enough. And I have 4 children. We still have to go to the food bank to get food every month, on top of what little bit of food stamps they give us. So you're gonna have people starve. Right. There's no jobs really hiring. They say they are, but they aren't. They really aren't. It took me 1.5 years with a bachelor's degree to find a job. Actively looking. So you're going to take that away from people as well. Like, they're barely surviving, in this town that's minimum wage is $13.50 and rent is $1,800 a month, and milk is $5 a gallon, and everything's sky high. You barely make it through every month. You're going to take food away from them too, which that is the same as the basic necessities. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to feel like men who are not able to provide as much as they can. What am I doing for my family suffering with me here? I'm one less mouth to feed. Boom, gone. And they're promoting that. They're not helping it. Like, there's no, let's lower rent because people make $13.50 an hour.
Yeah, and also on that fact is the price of everything is outrageous, and so the food stamps aren't going up, so it's harder to provide. Yeah. So then you end up having to get crappy food, That makes your health bad, so then that affects mental health. Yeah. And if you're not eating right, your mental health is going to go.
No, you're not getting the right vitamins. Your body's not getting the right chemicals. It's all connected, and I don't know. And the fact that even though Ducey's not our governor anymore, it's still going through.
It kind of slipped in the back door as he was
slipped in the back door, and it just really bugs me that, that that was able to slip through in the time of inflation and prices being high, and we're going to save money this way. No, you're hurting your families this way. There's going to be a lot of starving kids.
Yeah.
They're talking about taking away the free lunches too for the kids, regardless if they're on food stamps or not.
Right, and then how are you going to learn if you're starving all day? You're not gonna retain what they're trying to teach you.
They don't get much in food anyways, as they are in school. So they always tell you to pack a snack. How are we going to be able to pack a snack for our kids or give them lunches if we don't have the food to give them?
Right. I don't know. I think, not to get too political on it, but I think if we can afford to keep the bloated defense budget that we have, where you're paying $800 for a hammer. We could do better on that. I know that they're trying to pass something to forgive school lunch debt on it. I doubt it would pass.
It probably won't. They won't even forgive school loans.
Because school, I mean, the government's going to be shut down.
Yeah.
And God, that's going to cause a whole new crisis.
Well, the government shuts down. Nobody gets their Social Security checks, food stamps, nothing. I mean, I remember when, back when it shut down in the
2018.
Yeah, beginning of, it was like Obama era. Might have been, Obama right at the end, and they shut down because they couldn't make ends meet. So many people were out of money. People were going to lose their houses because they weren't getting their Social Security checks and stuff. And I was like, good God. And the senators and the congressmen were paid. They don't have to worry about it.
They don't lose shit.
But we do. And if we withhold taxes, we're in trouble. But they withhold the money that, I mean, like Social Security and disability and retirement. Those people worked for that. You can't really get Social Security, disability unless you worked. So you worked for that money, and they won't give it to you because they're shut down.
Yeah, and then they
sandbox fighting.
And then they talk about because I've been paying in for Social Security for quite a while now, and that might not even be there when I'm ready to retire.
No, it probably won't be when I am either. But that puts in, like, if you really look at the pyramid of needs in the mental health pyramid, the government and the way things are ran has completely taken away from that pyramid. So people are suffering mentally and emotionally and physically, and they're hungry. Everybody's sick in the head because of the way that things are going. And then they have no resources or anything to help people. It just, America's crumbling.
Yeah, and don't get this wrong. This is not a right or left argument.
No, it's not.
This is a crisis.
This is literally like an everybody thing. It's not, I mean, there's people on the right suffering, there's people on the left suffering, there's people on the middle suffering. It's just an American people are suffering, know.
I just think we can do better. And I think it all starts with we could just be a little bit nicer to each other.
Well, you look at countries like Sweden, and they don't have any of these issues. Their mental health, they have no mental health crisis. They have little to no drug use.
Yeah, but if you were Swedish and you looked like that, I mean, what's the hate?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
If everybody looks like Ken and Barbie.
Oh, I know, right? Yeah, but that's probably because they took care of themselves.
Yeah.
They have good lives.
Oh, and I'll bet they eat better.
They eat better. Yeah, GMOs and stuff are not, they're illegal over there. Red dyes, any dyes, illegal.
Oh, that's a whole nother topic. That's another one that we do need to cover is nutrition on it. We've meant to do that one for a while.
Yeah.
I know I'm not the best on that.
I try, but I can only afford so much.
I do know that I cut out caffeine for a few weeks, and I felt so much better.
I'm on my way to cutting caffeine out too. It doesn't take a little while. I missed my coffee today, and I've been really tired all day, but a couple of days I'll be okay.
All right, well, thanks for sitting in with me on this one. I think we'll have you sit in on another one. Snow will be back in a few weeks, I believe, unless she decides to up and leave us forever.
Move away forever.
Then what am I going to do?
I know, huh?
Be talking to this microphone by myself.
Or just have to have guests.
All right, we'll talk to you later. Okay, bye.